What up? You tune into the MV Online podcast. We finally back with episode 21.
Yes,
you
sir.
rocking with your host, one half of MV Online, son of a Jones.
And the mad editor. This magazine owner, Izard Johnson.
Yeah, so we back. We back after a minor delay, dealing with some personal stuff, but we back to talk sports, hip hop, and just all around what's going on. Normally, our podcast has been sports heavy in the past, but today we got a lot of hip hop topics. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. We're still within the 50th anniversary of hip hop. You know, the brand is going good. The culture is going good. It's going strong. A lot of things, albums dropping, people taking shot at podcasters. Shout out to Drake.
Wowzers.
Tupac Widow is out here wilding. Shout out to Tupac's Widow. We're gonna come back to Tupac's Widow because I got something to say about that.
Yeah.
But let's get into it.
Okay.
Let's start off with the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Unless you want to.
I just want to address something because you're being humble. You saying you have personal issues. It ain't just personal issues, man, because we do more than what the average people do. We don't just sit and do a podcast all day, and it's no disrespect to anybody that does with the successful podcast because I salute them. Mm-hmm. But we actually out in the field. We can't just sit on the couch and just be like, yo, we saw this. This is how we feel. Da-da-da-da. Like, we actually at the games. We're at the press conferences. We're at the events. We're covering it. Like, we're actually there, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want to establish
field work. But we're going to jump back in here and give y'all this content, though.
Yeah.
So let's start off what we talked about. Our podcast is usually sports heavy, but we got a lot to talk about within hip hop and the culture in general. Mm-hmm. So this year, obviously in August, we started off with the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Mm-hmm. We did our take last time where we talked about the old school rappers versus the new rappers and how there's kind of an imbalance with the talent. And that kind of went viral. We like 200,000 views, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So we want to continue to talk about the culture growing because obviously Nas turned 50. He dropped the third trilogy of his album. There's a lot to talk about within the hip hop realm. And I'm just going to throw the alley-oop to you.
Yeah, well, you know, Nas just turned 50. That's where I wanted to start at.
Okay, let's start off.
You know, I think like he doesn't really get his flowers. I think he does, but it's like LeBron. Like, you ain't going to appreciate till he's like officially just retired, so I ain't doing the mic no more. Like, if you think about it, Nas has literally been through every era of hip hop, except with the exception of the start of it. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, when he first came out, he came out when they were trying to bring the East Coast back because New York rappers New York was losing their belt. He put New York back on the map. It helped put Queens back on the map. Then he went through the whole East Coast, West Coast. He's right in the middle of that. He got in the midst of that. He survived the aftermath of that. You know, he also, you know, even with hip hop at its highest, he was there too for that, the platinum bling era. And then, you know, going against the giant Jay, when Jay was in his prime, surviving Takeover, because Takeover was ruthless. I don't care what nobody says. Not super ugly. And then going against it, putting a chink in the armor of Rockefeller with the Ether. Because Ether was just, I mean, my God, man. Most dudes' careers, after Jay made a song like that, it would have been an infinite. Mm-hmm. But being that was Nas, it was just, he came back and just showed why he's God's son. Like, why he's one of the top 5 MCs ever.
So does he still hold that title? Where will we, because I still think with the way Nas' health is holding up, salute to how his health is holding up, because most men in our 50s, we know I'm in my 30s, but you see it in the news, people start having health problems. He looks young. Yeah. He looks energetic.
Yeah.
I think he still, if he wants to, he has like a nice 10-year run in him left, even
Facts.
at 50.
Yeah.
With that being said, where do we place Nas today with all that he's done? Is he top 5?
Yeah, facts.
Okay.
He's top 5. First of all, with that battle, it's not too many MCs that's in his era that survived like a real battle. They put Eminem in the top 5, but let me ask you something. What real lyrical battles Eminem ever been in? I don't recall anything. Huh?
It's Eminem.
I know. He just ain't never been in a real battle.
Renegade.
Yeah, okay. No, that's called he outshined Jay-Z.
I'm a renegade.
He lit Jay-Z up on the track. Yes, he did. He made Jay-Z look like the kid on that track.
And I'm not going to sidetrack because we're talking about Nas. and I know I interject with Eminem because I believe he's close. In my humble opinion, I believe he's close. I like the verse he dropped not too long ago where he was addressing being a guest in hip hop, and he was talking about, well, if I'm a guest, look how I expanded it, which I give it to him because we don't have no 50 Cent without him.
Facts.
We don't have Joe Buttons and Slaughterhouse. We don't have Griselda. So what he was able to do within his own right as an artist and the acts that he brought on, I give him that credit. But I'm gonna say something with Eminem and Jay-Z. Because Nas dropped the way he did in 3 years, all those albums, King Disease 1, 2, and 3, Blue Magic 1, 2, and 3, y'all got to give us something. Because that top 5 list, it fluctuates, the names flip because of the artists keep dropping artwork.
Yeah.
I like Eminem. I like Jay-Z. 444 came out in 2017.
Something like that, yeah.
6 years
Before
ago.
COVID, yeah.
Before COVID. I don't know when's the last official studio album from Eminem.
Yeah.
You know, Killer Mike dropped something over the summer. Salute to Killer Mike. But yeah. Go back ahead. I didn't want to sidetrack.
No. So Nas has survived, you know, and I don't want to use the word survive. He's basically stood at top of when, you know, even the beefs. That's not to mention he did a compilation for his hood in Queensbridge. That's still a classic album to this day. The only knock on him is that he's never really put out any artists that's ever like blown up. Like you know, like 50's got, you know, G Unit. He's got 2 or 3 of those guys.
Can we touch on that just real quick? Because I was waiting for somebody. That's the only chink in Nas's armors.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're gonna go with the Bravehearts, but more importantly, whatever happened to the Firm?
It was too many heads, too many people in the pie.
But it was so dope.
Because you had Track Masters, and then you got to think about it.
AZ,
Nature, Foxy, and Nas.
That's like a dream team right there.
They got all, and you had Dr. Dre. So you had too many. I just think there was too many people involved. Like if it either had to be where, you know, I don't know the industry politics behind that album, but it either had to be, you either had to let Track Masters run the show, or you either had to let Dr. Dre run the show. But you can't have both of them trying to run the show because it wasn't going to work. Because that album didn't come out on Nas's imprint. Everybody was involved in that, like Def Jam, and I forgot who Nature was. I think Nature was signed to Nas's label, but Track Masters, Interscope, like it was too many people. They weren't making more money off that album. But anyway, to make a point, Nas, like, he's always stood atop of everything. Even when the DVD era was going, the mixtape era was going, like Nas has always been there at the top in the conversation. Whoever was popping, whoever was hot, he was always there. Period.
Yeah, and I want to, we're going to segue, but I'm going to tie Nas into the segue because we're still talking about hip hop.
Yeah. So
a hot topic that's been on the social media this week is Juicy J from 3 6 Mafia.
Okay.
And I touched on him briefly on our socials.
Yes.
Juicy J came out and talked about how hip hop sales is down 40%. And my response to Juicy J and anybody that keeps using that talking point is, okay, it's been like that since the internet era, since LimeWire and Napster.
Right.
Since people been able to illegally download music, hip hop sales have declined. But going back to your statement on Nas, that's why I said I'm gonna pull him in. You have to be a dope artist. You have to put out great artwork. You have to be a master at your craft. Yeah. And this is where we talked about last podcast about the old school rappers versus the new hip hop artists. When we think about artistry, who's a prevalent artist out right now? And I'm not going to pick on them. I'm just saying name them.
The Baby.
Shout out to the Baby. I like his music.
Who else is
down south?
Trying to think who's hot down there. I don't know, man. Kodak Black, I guess. I don't know who else. Who's dropped a record? I don't even know who's dropped a record recently. It's more the females, to be honest with you.
Yeah, females are taking over in hip hop, and I love it because you know how we started off.
Yeah.
Point I'm making by bringing that up is, I think we moved away from lyricism, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's about, can I make this catchy song so I can go on tour? And that's fine. But when the heat from the song runs out, what do you have?
Nothing.
What memorable moments Me and you both been in hip hop culture because it's kind of birthed us. It's like the soundtrack to our life.
Right.
I'm pretty sure you can name an album that sat with you as a teenager, and so can I. Just something we bumped, whether it was Mobb Deep or your favorite album or just whatever. We all could pick an album out of hip hop and say, yo, this sat with us for this moment of time. I can't do that right now.
No.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
That I can pick out an album in the last 10 years and say, yo, this album sat with me for these reasons.
It's funny when I look at 50. I went to a 50 Cent concert. I don't know if I don't think we talked about this last podcast. So I went to a 50 Cent tour, one of the shows. So I ain't going to say it. Well, I can say it. It was out in Connecticut. And his catalog, I mean, he had Yayo and Uncle Murder up there. And he could have because Yayo has his own music and so does Uncle Murder. Like, people know their music. So, but I guess he just had them, ad-libbing and kind of making the show. And it was dope what he had them doing. And then he had like the dancers in the back and they was like jamming. But his catalog he was out there for an hour and a half.
And he could have did more, right?
And and his catalog was crazy. Like, he was doing songs from his albums. That's what he started with. When he went to the last, I want to say 45 minutes of the show, it was more like of his mixtape stuff. And all the crowd was singing all his mixtape stuff. I couldn't believe it. And I'm talking about different generations. There were people my age, there was young boys, there was young women, there was
middle-aged men, middle-aged women
singing
mixtape music.
Yep, mixtape music.
Stay right there with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Say that one more time.
So he came out, he did an hour and a half show. He did most of his albums, the beginning of them, like all the hit records and everything, and albums. The last 45 minutes, he was doing mixtape music. All that stuff you heard from mixtapes, just doing it. Even some of the disc records from Ja Rule that were mixtape music.
Smell.
Yep.
Is that you, Irv?
They knew it, all of it, and they were singing it word for word. I've never seen that. I couldn't believe I was seeing this at this stage. That's how long it's been.
Classic material that sat with people for decades.
Right.
What new generation artist, man or woman today, is putting out that quality of music or is expanding their catalog? I like the baby. He probably has a great show. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you his catalog like that.
Even, to be honest with you, not to cut you off, Busta Rhymes is one of the opening acts.
His catalog is crazy.
Son, he didn't have enough time. And he was out there for like an hour. Yeah. And he still didn't have enough time.
His mixtapes, his albums.
Yeah, crazy. Crazy.
Which brings me to the next point. Going back to Juicy J talking about hip hop sales being down by 40%. Yeah, I got to give the fans something because now, obviously, the streaming, people are getting music for free. What are you offering us as consumers? Mm-hmm. What memorable moments are you offering us to consume your art to say, you know what? That was crazy. Now, I just recently was like, yo, these bars is crazy, yo. Because I'm a bar person.
Right.
I grew up on the Cassidys and the Locks and all that. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, yo, who's spitting that that can make me scrunch up my face and like he talking.
Tough, yeah.
Shout out to J. Cole, because he came out of hiding. Shout out to J. Cole, because he came out of hiding on First Person Shooter.
Yeah.
That's a track he did with Drake, and he kind of got on him the same way Eminem got on Jay-Z. Like, he just, okay, it's been a while. I did that little Yachty feature, and that was cute. I did my thing, but I know Drake fan base, and I gotta.
Yeah.
And he literally wanted to assassinate Drake on his own record.
Wow.
Bar Central. When he did that, I'm like, okay, where's everybody else? Somebody got, because back in 2010, I remember when Kendrick Lamar released that freestyle where he was like, I'm the king of New York.
Yeah.
And it sent waves through hip hop. And everybody was dropping records. Everybody was dropping mixtapes. And everybody was saying, yo, how lyrical I can be. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
And you know what happened? Nothing. He killed the epic verse. And everybody's like, yo, this is probably verse of the year.
Yeah.
Where's everybody at?
Nowhere.
Where you at, hip hop artists? I like the club songs. I like the TikTok songs. But where's the lyricism?
Right.
Who's being competitive in today's hip hop?
Nobody. No way I could think of. Nobody. Just horrible, man. It's horrible. Like, you know, and you just look at it like with the 50th anniversary. And it's funny because the night I went to the 50 Cent tour, that was like hip hop's anniversary in Yankee Stadium. So like, you know, I couldn't be at both places at the same time. But I was just thinking in the back of my mind, like all those acts that were up there, like, I mean, the catalogs they got. I mean, damn, the catalogs. And I'm looking like, yo, y'all can't even go on fucking tour.
You hear the reports right now are the younger artists, even the ones that are popular, are having to pull back certain tour dates because they're finding out they're underselling tickets. They think they're selling out arenas, then they get there, they're 2,000 seats short. Like they can't put on shows with their music. Go ahead. I'm
not trying to be funny, so I don't want this to sound the way it's gonna come out. I don't really know Taylor Swift's catalog. I didn't know who she was until Kanye got on stage that night and started bugging out. If we all remember that episode. But that was years ago. So I'm assuming this young lady has a very big catalog.
Yes.
Right? She goes on tour, dog. But somebody was telling, I think Stephen A. Smith was blowing that up. He's like, yo, the catalog is impeccable. And I know it's a different genre and a different fan base.
Demographic.
But what I'm saying is the point is that she has a catalog, that music that she can go on tour. So when she goes on tour, you're not just going to hear one album. You're hearing a multitude of music, of albums that she's done, songs she's done. It's like with 50, that's what it was clicking in my brain when I was watching him do it. And I was like looking like, yo, he kept going because he had basically like exhausted like his hit albums, his hit songs from all his albums. And he's like, oh no, we not done yet. And then he started going to the street stuff. I was like, God damn. I was like, yo, he could keep going. I don't even think he did Power, the
Power of a Dollar.
No, not Power, but he did the Power show.
The theme song.
Rich Allen, yeah. So he did that. And I was like, I don't know what else he gonna do, man. You done did everything you could do. And then he started going that next stuff. I was like, damn. And yeah, you know what's crazy? He could have, you know what's even more ilmatic? He had Yayo and Murder with him. You know Yayo got songs with him that we all sing too. Come on, man. I mean, they could have kept going.
They got the G-Unit album stuff. And more. Yeah. You know who I would like to see go on tour, and this might be funny, but they have a crazy catalog and they're older. Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj has a great catalog. Shout out to Nicki. I know she's being a mother now, but this is why ageism in hip hop has to go, because the cats with the catalog are the older artists. Cats over 35.
Yeah.
And that's I'm not disparaging the younger artists, but just as we talked about last time on that clip that went viral on TikTok, you younger artists have to get better at your artwork. It's no longer about, oh, hey, I got this viral song that got 2 million views on YouTube. Okay, can we have a body of work? And then when you do that body of work, can you put music videos together with it? We're going to talk about the video vixens in this too, because I know you wanted to touch on that.
Yeah.
Can you put the music videos? Then can you put an LP together? Then can you market that? And then can you keep going next year?
Right.
So we get a body of classic work. So when you go on tour, we out here rapping 3 mixtapes. So yeah, Nicki Minaj would be somebody, if she do a tour right now, she could sell out because people remember her classic mixtapes from 2008 and 9.
Facts. Super facts.
Album that just dropped. There's multiple albums that dropped. One album, shout out to West Side Guns, because we're from upstate New York. So shout out to Griselda. He just dropped the album today. It's called And Then You Pray For Me, if I'm saying it right. But, he got the Griselda cats on there. He got JID. I just got the first song out the way. I'm not going to talk about it because I want to digest that artwork.
Yeah.
But them Griselda boys from upstate New York, from Buffalo,
music.
Their catalog is getting crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out to Drake. He dropped the album, and that stirred up some controversy. I tried to listen to the album. He had some decent singles on there. As I just said, the First Person Shooter with J. Cole.
Well, you got to go and download it.
Nah, it's stream.
Streaming. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But it's interesting because it brought out more controversy. Now, here what we're talking about. We're talking about the 50th anniversary of hip hop. We're talking about hip hop maturing. The criticism that Drake got from his album was it's not mature for his age. Me and Drake is the same age. We're in our mid-30s. So we're looking for some evolution about what are you going through in your personal life. You don't got to tell us everything, but we're looking for the music to grow up. What experiences are you going through? He's on there dissing Rihanna, talking about chicks he slept with 20 years ago. I mean, not 20, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like decades ago.
Long ago, yeah.
We're just like.
He's dissing Rihanna? Really?
People called him out like, yo, dude, like she's out there being a billionaire, not worried about you, and you're throwing shots at Rihanna. That's what
that's about.
But just hear what I'm saying.
No, I'm sorry.
That's what you're putting out in your artwork.
Mm.
Okay. And you're supposed to be one of the highest selling artists of our time, of our generation.
Yeah.
That's what we talk about hip hop growing up. So then after that criticism came out, Joe Buttons used his platform and gave him a fair criticism. Like, we're media. That's just like somebody saying, who are y'all to be talking about hip hop? It's the soundtrack to our life. So Joe Buttons gave his criticism, and I'm not going to pull up the screenshot because everybody already saw it all over social media, and gave some fair critique points. Same thing I'm saying, like, dude, you're talking about 21-year-old girls and you're in your mid-30s.
Yo.
I know it sounds funny because, like I said, me and Drake are the same age.
Right.
I'm not thinking about women. Obviously, I'm married, but even if I wasn't married, I wouldn't be so hung up on a 21-year-old that I'm writing a song about it.
Yeah, unless you're making a whole song about, like, you know, this is what I went through with her and kind of like, you know, without saying the name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he was overtly saying the name and bringing the situation to where people caught on to it.
Okay.
So then Drake blacked out, like, who are you? You're a failed rapper, da-da-da-da-da. What is your thoughts about Drake calling Joe Budden a failed rapper?
I don't think
and acting like he's not qualified to speak about his album.
I think he's getting personal. He's overreacting, and clearly he cares because he look how he responded. I don't think he's a failed rapper. Joe Budden's not a failed rapper. Joe Budden was on Def Jam. He had hit singles. Then he decided to go independent because of the whole Jay-Z thing. We all know about that.
Talk about that real quick. Educate the fans.
He was on there. He had the album. The album did okay. I forgot if it went gold or not, but I know his singles went gold with Pump It Up and the other joint with Busta. Anyway, long story short, when Def Jam hauled everything over to Jay and made him president, he was one of the casualties.
Yeah, just like DMX talked about.
Right. Like he said, yo, Jay told him, no, we're going to do this, we're going to do this.
The inmates is running the asylum.
Yeah. And then he ended up
on vacation.
Facts. And it didn't work out well, and Joe said, I'm out. He did Moo Music, the mixtapes, which did very well.
Mixtapes was so fire.
So I still play them to this day. You know what I mean? When I get a chance to run through my CD rotation. So, you know, I don't think he's a failed rapper, and he adapted. He changed. He's got older. So I guess he didn't feel like making the music. So when he's making criticism, I think it's fair to make that. What I do say though too, and you know where I'm going with this. I keep saying, I don't be careful who you keep talking about. I know Joe Buttons may not be a tough guy. I don't know, don't care. Just sometimes somebody gives you criticism. You talking tough, dude. What's your catalog for talking tough? We're like
his catalog is Birdman is gonna hop on social media and throw some shots.
Nobody cares. That's just you know what? Let me not get started.
We about to go somewhere else with this conversation.
Let me say this. Can I say one thing?
Can I go?
Go ahead. You go first.
You remember back in the days? You got to remember this. There's a famous Noriega interview. Shout out to my half Puerto Rican. And this was early 2000s where they asked him about Nas saying something. He was like, "Who is Nas? Nas never got in a fight in his life. I'll fuck Nas up."
Does he say?
It's a famous clip out there. This is young Nori. This is Nori that
wild in the streets. Yeah. Yes.
The point he was making is, who are you, dude? Like, we don't know you for no fights.
Yeah.
Not
super
one.
Facts. Yeah.
So going.
Was he like in Degrassi High or something like that?
Yeah. Well, not just that, but we heard the stories about T.I.'s man peeing on your leg and the music. Oh, you open your mouth like you didn't hear that.
No, I didn't know.
You don't remember when that came out? That T.I. man was peeing on him?
No.
And he ain't do nothing. And
really?
Oh, you out the loop. Point I'm making is he ain't known for that chat. The way he be acting like his fake patois, you know, he want to speak in the pat. See, this is
God, yo,
this is everything we got to think about when somebody's talking tough on the internet.
Yeah,
because I dealt with that. You know, the tough guys and the fake profiles but you know, yo. This, that, and the third because Birdman's behind you. No, we want to know what you're gonna do.
Yeah, facts. You have no.
You're not known for no chat. You know, you and your fake patois.
Yeah, like who you gonna run down on?
So
I will say, like, let me just say, it's like you I mean, if you really want to start something, you should try and go start something at this stage. But I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? Somebody gonna catch you slipping.
Do somebody actually?
Let me say this. I'm not
Go
gonna say
ahead.
the rapper's name, and it's about one of the rappers we're talking about. So I'm not gonna give it away. To give a difference, somebody made a comment about somebody's either album or record. I forgot what they said. They ran into him and punched him in his eye. He seen this man. The man punched him in his eye. He ain't do nothing. He just stood there. Then got on the video and was like, "Yo, I want a fair one." You already had a fair one, man. He popped you in your eye. He was gonna do something right there. You wasn't. So hear what I'm saying. You are not built. You do that and say that to certain people, you think you're gonna get your head whooped. If it was the person that I seen pop somebody in their eye, you wouldn't do that. You get what I'm saying? You wouldn't say it because you know you're gonna run into him. You're gonna have to back up what you say. It's kind of like the clip. I saw a recent clip. I'm not trying to sidetrack. I saw a recent clip where Dame was talking about this because him and Irv is starting to have words.
He's telling Irv
chill out. Like, yeah, you got to stop, man. And he said, yo, you kind of rolling over here.
Like your real name is Irvington.
Yeah. Like
you want to be called Irv Gotti.
And you want to be this and this and that. And you saw how your real battle went. You weren't the guy, even though you were hanging with the guys in the street. And I'm not dissing Irv. I think Irv is a genius.
Respectable.
You weren't the guy in the street. And when you ran into a guy that was in the street, how big as he is now, he was really in them streets. And you see how that battle went.
And he's 50 and 0.
Yeah, facts.
You got that shot I throw.
Facts.
He's 50
and 0. Yeah.
And 0.
And not scared of nobody. So, and it's not because he's like I think I can't be beat. You just try to go up against somebody that you wasn't gonna win that fight, man. You wasn't gonna win that. You just wasn't. So the point I guess I'm making is like be careful kind of how you be jabbing, But he went after Joe Buttons and he's having a moment.
So we went on a rant talking about the 50th anniversary in hip hop and the sales is down and Nas. We just went around a lot of corners. Outside of us ranting, what would you like to see from this new generation that will make it where they can contribute to where we are accustomed of listening to our hip hop artists from our time? Me in the late 90s, early 2000s, and you around that same time. What would you like to see from the newer artists?
Stop making quantity music, make quality music. Make a catalog. You know what you're doing. Like, for example, people say you don't know what you're doing. For example, when Dame talks about this all the time, I keep bringing him up. They talk about this when they were starting Rockefeller. They were making music because they believed in who they were and what they were doing. These kids ain't making music because they believe in what type of artist they are. They're making music based upon how many clicks and likes and views they can get. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if you go back and listen to Reasonable Doubt, it's classic now. Everybody thinks it's classic now. I was there back then. I was around back then. I was in the peak of it
too.
I remember when nobody was listening to Jay. They
had to break that single.
They was kind of, what was it, Dead Presidents. They liked it, but it wasn't getting to play that Nas, Biggie, Wu-Tang, Boot Camp Click, Keith Murray. It wasn't getting that same airplay. It was on a rotation, but he was on Priority Records. It wasn't on Def Jam. But it was a quality music. It was a banging album, and people didn't see it then, but now look at it now. If Jay ever, that's a perfect example. Another example, we was talking about Nas. If you look at Jay as a catalog of music, if he'd have did what these kids are doing now, it would have been a BS song. You know what else? What else is a problem? If you hear a song now, even R&B, the song is for like 2 minutes. I'm not even taking it in. Yeah, I'm not even taking it in. It's like literally, if I turn the channel and come back, it's gone. It's gone.
It's a bridge and one verse.
Yeah, that's it. So I think they need to start making quality music, and they need to look at it as, this is my catalog. That's why if you've seen a lot of artists back then now, but that made music back then, they're so passionate about the labels, going out their labels and fighting because look what all they put into it. Look at the catalog of music, dog. Like you can't get mad that they want their masters. You know what I mean? They had a catalog. That's why Jay about Dead Presidents, he's irritated. Not Reasonable Doubt album. He's irritated because that was his own personal catalog. It was when he started when nobody wanted to be bothered. I don't care what he says, nobody wanted to be bothered. Biggie was probably riding with him, but nobody else was really riding with him. You know, it was a cool album, but it wasn't like, oh, we got to go get Jay. No, I to this day don't know how he even got the Def Jam. I don't know how that happened. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't.
Shout out to Dame Jash.
Yeah. Let's call that what that is. Compared to what Herb said, that he just went for the ride. Mm-hmm. He got a further ride than you did, because your ride stopped at minute 50 got on. You was in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, man. But these cats are not appreciating they're not appreciating the journey. I get it about the business, but they're not appreciating the journey. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to just say, yo, I'm trying to get these likes, clicks, views, and money and get up out of here. But then when you're 30, 40 years old, you can't even go on tour because nobody wants to listen to your music. Ain't nobody trying to be 50, 45 years old bouncing to a hook. Nobody's trying to do that, man.
22s, coming of age with Memphis Bleak.
Mm-hmm.
Memphis Bleak was just telling that story on a podcast about how he actually got on. Was a coming of age. Great story. Ain't No, Feeling It, Cashmere Thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Can't Knock the Hustle, that's classic. The Evils.
Yeah.
These are classic songs, man.
Yeah. Go and listen to Brooklyn's Finest Women, Biggie on that first album. That's what I'm saying.
These are
and
classics.
They considered themselves the best, and you could hear it like how they were going back and forth. But the funny thing about it is when that came out, I never forgot. I mean, you go back and look at it now, they were sparring. You're never going to get that. Not no more.
Who was sparring against each other lyrically? That's why I said what J. Cole did on First Person Shooter.
Yeah.
Like, he got at Drake on his album.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear anything else. Like, I need some, we still got Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar's at. Where's Kendrick Lamar at?
I don't know. I'm a
big Kendrick Lamar fan, but come out of hiding, my dude.
Yeah,
it's been 3 or 4 years. No, it's not. Just taking too long.
Oh, yeah.
You know, these cats like to go into hiding for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And just to let their name ring. All right. We need you out of hiding, Kendrick.
Yeah.
You done lived life long enough.
Yeah.
J. Cole's assassinating people out here. We need you back. We need the lyricism to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another part of hip hop that we're going to touch on, you talked about.
Yeah, I noticed that. Well, there's two things. One, it was that, of course, there's so many aspects of it. But I think one is like the video models, the video vixens, however you want to name it. I think they don't get enough credibility, man.
You got to lobbed it up. You got to go here.
I think it was two was for two things. I don't want to hear that it was just they were booty modeling and they were just really posing and they were whorebagging around. They weren't doing that. A lot of them weren't doing that. But let me tell you what was going on. They were getting money off of it.
Branding themselves.
Right. They were branding themselves. It was also creating self-esteem for women that look like them. Because I mean, if you look at it,
because where those women couldn't get into, go in on it
into the industry, the fashion industry.
What do we read?
The magazines. They couldn't get in there. So, I mean, they were trying to tell us what beauty looked like. That wasn't my definition of beauty. My definition of beauty is Melissa Ford. Please apologize if I'm going to say it's Lyris Cross.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Lyris or Lyris Cross. I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong. But Lyris Cross, Gloria Velez.
You talked about some choreographer.
Melissa Ford. Oh, Director X. That put Melissa Ford on. That he was kind of putting them all on. But they were the major ones that were showing up. They all look different. Gloria Velez, of course, because of her Spanish, background, but she showed curves of Spanish woman, how real Spanish woman looks. Melissa Ford, same thing. She looks like a black woman with curves. Nobody knew she was half white back then, but she never denied it, but nobody knew. Lyris Cross, the same thing. She's a dark skinned woman, and she was showing up in multiple videos. You understand what I'm saying? You weren't really seeing dark skinned women.
Shout out to Miss Cross.
So to hear what I'm saying, they never get the credibility. And it was showing an image of beauty that wasn't being promoted or pushed in this industry.
And the magazines.
Period. Facts. And that was another thing. It created a whole nother industry for the magazines.
Preach.
So it's funny too, and let me go here, and I don't want to sidetrack. It was funny that when those women were starting to get the recognition and the endorsements and the hosting and the advertising, it was funny how the industry had a problem with it. But it wasn't a problem when Maximum was doing it, when the other magazine, I forgot that was called, it was Maximum, and I think there's FHM, which that's beauty too, but it's not the standard beauty that I'm
not in our
seeing.
demographic.
Graphics, right. So it was just funny how when King and Smooth, and then, K. Slade just shut it down with Straight Stunting, but there were other magazines. See, then it became a problem because now they're taking away from that industry. Because they're not going over there. They're not going to the Maxims. They're not going to the FHMs. They're going to Smooth. They're going to King.
K-Slay.
Yeah, they're going to
Rest in
K-Slay.
peace to K-Slay.
They're doing it. So let me shout them out, and I'm going to keep saying it. And then we have our platform. We're going to keep it real. So Melissa Ford, Lyris Cross, if I'm saying your name wrong, I apologize, and Gloria Velez. They were one of the three major ones. I can assure you they were. And there was another one. She was in Breathe and Stop in the Q-Tips video. I don't want to butcher her name. I'm just gonna say L.A. That's her initials. But she was also another one. They had the look, and they looked like us, and they looked like this. And I'm not saying that everything about it was positive because I know you're gonna get it. It's kind of exploiting our women, but at the same time, it's also showing a beauty that wasn't being appreciated and trying to be put in the background and in the dark, when in reality everybody was embracing it. And trust me, the same people that saying they didn't want it in the magazines are the same ones that embrace it, because me and you been in those offices where they done been trying to, we don't seen them try to either get at them or bring them in there. So yes, that is all a lie. So salute to those women, man. I think they changed the game for a lot.
That's a great perspective, because like I said, we started a online platform and a digital magazine, print magazine, a while ago, and we got old stories that we heard coming into the industry about how the industry tried to pretty much suck out the talent and then kick them to the curb because they didn't want them to eat. But that's a good perspective, man. For the people not thinking about it, just those are just video vixen models.
No.
They weren't allowed to get in those magazines in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Facts.
They were pretty much barred.
Yeah.
But hey, I could stand next to Q-Tip. I could get in Nori's video. I could get in Jay-Z's video. And show a different view of beauty.
Let me also say too, it helped a lot of women that were very beautiful being in those videos. They were getting a lot of looks, like for movies, scripts, everything. Trust me.
Give me an example.
Megan Good was in it. Megan Good was getting looked at through those. She came in. She was in the 50 Cent 21 Questions video. She was in Reagan Gomez Preston. She got into a few movies because of the looks in the video. Oh, who else was in there? Corinne Steffens, even though she's not a good example, but she got into a few, things. It helps because they see you in a different light. So let's say if you're an actress, right, and you looked at in one channel, but if you go into this lane and you go and cover and Smooth, what we see you is like, so say you might have like I don't want to sound offensive, but say you might have a toned down dress look in a lot of movie roles. So a lot of people, a lot of advertisers won't go near you because they don't think you have a look. But if you go and pose in King and Smooth, you have a certain look like, oh, they can pull this off. So we are going to book them. We are going to host them. We're going to bring them around because they can help promote our brand. They help set off a lot of brands too. A lot of people don't think that. But you can ask, nobody's ever really asked them, Melissa Ford is on Joe Budden's podcast
Shout
right
out to
now.
Melissa Ford.
But, nobody's really asking them. Nobody's really talking to them. And I'm not talking, and no disrespect, I'm not talking about Buffy and the Biden because they came later. I'm talking about when it wasn't normal.
When it wasn't popular.
When it wasn't popular. And when it came, it started coming like a flood and they didn't know what to do. Do you get what I'm saying? So I don't know. Also, shout out to, let me also say this. A lot of those women took chances with magazines that if we would have went a route where the popular look was, we wouldn't have got the opportunities. They gave us opportunities in those magazines. So say they're Smooth and King. I think Smooth was a branch off of, I forgot what magazine company, and King was a branch off of XXL. It kept them rocking because that was another avenue, element of hip hop that was not. And I don't care what they say. Women of color and their beauty is an element of hip hop. I don't care what they say. It is where it's so. Whether they want to deny it or not,
I need you to repeat that again. That's a bar.
And women of color and their beauty are an element of hip hop. I don't care what they say. They can say whatever they want. I'm telling you, it is an element of hip hop. and they don't be looked upon. It can't just be it. It can be somewhere between Lauryn Hill and what Foxy Brown looks like. They don't gotta always dress and talk like Lauryn Hill. They can dress like Foxy too. They can dress like Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B. Right. I don't think Megan Thee Stallion would be confident coming out at this point if it wasn't for those young women showcasing their beauty. That wasn't normal. And people need to stop acting like it was, because it wasn't. I was around. I saw it. So I just shout out to them, man. They'll never get no credibility. And nobody's ever really talked to them about it. So if not, we are. That's
what's up. That's a great perspective. Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to contribute to this 50th anniversary of hip hop before we move on to the next topic?
No,
we're still gonna stay in hip hop. I got two more topics, but just on that part.
No. We good.
All right. So 2 controversy topics leaving hip hop. Mm-hmm. So Glasses Malone.
Oh Lord. Mm-hmm.
You know who Glasses Malone is? Shout out to the West Coast. We're gonna show love.
Yeah.
So he had an old take. This is not new, but it just like resurged again. Mm-hmm. His take on Tupac versus Snoop Dogg.
Oh, really?
So he went on Breakfast Club years ago and said Snoop Dogg during 93 to 95 was way bigger celebrity than Tupac was. And for some reason that came back up again. Mm-hmm. Now, outside of Glasses Malone, a producer by the name of ATL Jacob in the South said, oh, yeah, and Future's more influential than Tupac as well.
Bugging.
So
no.
Tupac is taking some hits. Now, the first debate, we can go either or, and it's not even a bad debate. It's a good one. Mm-hmm. I don't know what ATL Jacob is talking about. Future is more influential than Tupac.
I don't know.
So let's stick on the first one that has more credence. Shout out to Glasses Malone. Mm-hmm. But on the topic, this is a great topic for hip hop, because Pac is from the East Coast, but he got his weight up in the West Coast. Mm-hmm. During that time period, we were both around, listening to music, indulging in the culture. Who would you say during that time period would it be the bigger celebrity?
Pac was the biggest celebrity. He was the biggest celebrity. I have to say,
but what Dre and Snoop did.
Yeah, but Pac was by himself, dog.
Yeah.
When he was getting in I know he was getting in trouble, but when he did Brenda's Got a Baby and he did Juice.
Talk about the singles.
And he did, he did When My Homies Call and all that. Because, see, a lot of people keep going to,
the Death Row days.
Before he went to jail, he did Dear Mama and all that. Mm-hmm. When he did that first call was tough. Yeah. So, they got me trapped and all that. So he was doing that. I mean, Digital Underground has back, but he was on Interscope by himself.
I Get Around.
And he did Juice by himself. You know what I mean? Like, he got that. Like, Dre and Snoop were kind of like a team. You get what I'm saying? Like, Snoop brought in the Dog Pound. So, yeah, if you want to take Snoop's whole army, yes. Yeah, he definitely was bigger. But I'm talking about if you just take Tupac and Snoop, I think Pac got him. And not like about a big gap, but I do think there's like a little gap there.
I think it's like 1A and 1B.
Yeah,
it's like it's like the Kobe and Shaq. No, I'm sorry, Kobe and Jordan. Mm-hmm. It's like you can't go wrong with either or.
Yeah,
because going back to Tupac in that time, I do admit his first 2 albums was hit or miss song wise.
Yeah,
he would have a great song, and then the next song would be like, "Yo, this production is crap."
Yeah, that was his only problem.
That was his first 2 albums,
Yeah.
But those songs that hit, Keep Your Head Up, I Get Around,
yeah.
When My Homies Call,
yeah,
those singles was so hard.
Yeah,
they talk to us, they talk to our communities, which we just talked about prior in the previous segment about music talking and reflecting our times. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying Snoop didn't. Mm-hmm. Snoop has some songs, but let me say this: Snoop gave you West Coast culture.
Facts.
In the early 90s, this is what we got to remember. That shit wasn't over here.
No. Nope.
That Blood and Crip culture came later. We're not going to dive into that topic, but that came later. So as great as Snoop was when he gave us West Coast culture, it was great music.
Right.
But the production, that was the soundtrack to the West Coast. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I loved the production on it. Some of us couldn't grasp it because we weren't living that lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, it was going over our head. Yeah.
When Pac dropped Brenda's Got a Baby, that ain't a West Coast, East Coast thing.
Yeah.
You heard the lyrics in that?
Yeah.
that was really happening. Women were really getting pregnant by people in their family, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And more importantly, he was talking about a young woman getting taken advantage of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then dumping the baby off. So that's what Brenda Got a Baby was about. That didn't have a coast to it.
Yeah.
That was the soundtrack of urban America. So, like I said, to me, I liked that debate more than ATL Jacob. It's a 1A or 1B. If you said Snoop was ahead of him for that period, I wouldn't argue with you. I'd be like, all right, cool.
Right.
But what Tupac did with that and getting in those movies, Above the Rim. And then when you talk about Above the Rim.
And then all that heat he caught after the fact. Oh, my God. Yeah. So
great debate by Glasses Malone. That's a better topic than ATL Jacob.
Right. And you want to go into the other one about that? With Park Part 2? So.
Well, who?
The Park Part 2. You want to talk about that? Well, you know about with Keefe and all that, man.
Oh yeah. So
yeah.
All right, let's talk about that since we on Pac. We got two Tupac olive branches.
Right.
So we talked about this before, but the person who was in connection with the murder of Tupac Shakur, Keefe D, he's the only loser that's alive, the only loser that's been on podcasts for the last 8 years, pretty much telling on himself because he thought the proffer agreement that he signed with the feds was going to protect him. So he just got cocky.
Yeah.
So for the younger cats that don't know, there were 4 people in the car when Tupac got shot in Vegas. All 3 of the other cats died. I don't know if natural causes, but I know 2 of them died violently. Orlando Anderson was murdered, and so was Big Dre. I think Big Dre was, but all 3 of them not here. Keefe D's the only one around. He just been picked up in connection, but that's taking an interesting turn. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I saw the Vlad TV interview this morning on Breakfast Club. I know you saw that, right? And he said,
shout out to Vlad TV.
Yo, all I'm gonna say is, I think it's just sad and pathetic, and I think there's 2 elements to this. Like he's running around. First of all, if you listen to this, if you did something like that, if you did catch a body, do not get on no platforms and start talking about, unless you're like Sammy the Bull and you done just got acquitted, like you got full immunity. He didn't have full immunity. I don't know what made him think he had full immunity.
Greg Caden said, yo, I don't, we signed a proffer, but
that was only a 1-day thing.
Yeah.
So that means like whatever he said that day, they couldn't get him for it. But I'm pretty sure that's probably just in LA. That's not in Vegas. You don't
up here giving new information, talking about, because when it was one of them, either the Art of Dialogue or Vlad, where he was like, yeah, after the shooting, we spun off to the block, found a white Cadillac and put the gun under, like, in between the tire, the tire part.
Yeah.
And that's where we put the gun. Like, nobody knew those intricate details.
Really?
Nobody knew that.
Why? Yeah. I just took that to my grave. I mean, I don't know what
Here's
happened.
an interesting part to that.
Yeah.
Because me and you are old enough to know the story about the implications that led up to that. And who was it? Allegedly.
I feel like, yeah.
Allegedly tied into that. And now there's some speculations that he can be pulled in. I don't know charged, but can kind of be pulled in.
It'll never stick.
It'll never stick?
Because there's no trail.
But what about the alleged bag he gave to Zip?
Yeah, but I think it never got to Keefe. And Zip is dead. So now how you going to get the evidence?
How you going to prove that?
If I was Puff, I'd go right in there and, like,
allegedly.
Remember when Big Meech, and if you ever watched the PMF, when the cop went to try to talk to him, and he just kicked his feet up. He was just sitting there with his feet up waiting for her. He's like, oh man. He's like, yo. He's like, they didn't tell me you was coming in here. He's like, yo. He was like real cocky about it. Like, that's why I would be if I was Puff. Like, what you gonna do? You gonna really take his word? Really? He's on trial for murder, man. I ain't got nothing to do with it. They wasn't even over there. Big and them wasn't, Puff and them wasn't even over there at the time. So I guess the point I'm making is like, what do I think about it? I think it's one is senseless and pointless as day. I mean, Pac's mom is gone, dog.
His siblings are alive. His father's alive.
Yeah, but I mean, Pac's mom is gone. Sugar's locked up. And if Suge knew about it, which I mean, from the way Mob James talks about, he thinks he knew. Why you ain't do nothing? So do you see the ineffective?
He's saying free Keefy D.
You see the ineffective leadership. That you see the mess. Do you see the mess and ineffective leadership? Yo, he had you out here joining the Bloods, ready to go to war, right? You jumped your behind in there and rocked with this gangbanger.
Crashed out.
At the end of the day, does not care who you are, right? And at the end of the day, you got popped, and your man did nothing about it.
And he's in jail now saying free Keefy D.
Yeah. Your man did nothing about it. But he up there talking, I wouldn't tell him anyway, because I would just handle it myself. Really?
He's still
you knew about it, man. You knew who did that. We all knew who did that. It's like Vlad said this morning in the interview. He's like, that was the worst kept secret in L.A. They all knew who did that. They know who did that. He got jumped. All of a sudden,
1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah, like, come on, man. And
LA culture.
And they caught you. And then the cops even said on the Vlad TV, they said, yo, we knew he did it, but they said it was only a matter of time because they said he had like 3 other bodies. They said they I think 2 or 3 other bodies.
Oh, Orlando?
Yeah. So they was already coming for him.
He just got killed a year later.
Yeah, he got killed too soon. But it was what it was. It was the worst kept secret in the world. But it's still, if I'm Keefy, I would have kept my mouth shut. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what happened. I guess he did run into him. I don't know nothing about that. That's what I said. I don't understand. What do you think you're going to gain from this? And now you're going to sit your behind in jail for the rest of your life if this is convicted. Now, there's 2 things. Let me say this. One is he just got arrested. So there's nothing.
No conviction yet.
No conviction yet. They haven't convicted him or indicted him or anything. So let's see where this goes. I just don't think why are we doing this right now? Why?
Because the legendary status of Tupac. Like, for example.
It's pointless.
I understand, but we're still talking about Tupac's music and Tupac's legacy 27 years later. This isn't this is the equivalent of Bob Marley. Now, Bob Marley died peacefully of cancer. But that's like if somebody, Peter Tosh got assassinated. I believe Peter Tosh was Bob Marley's right-hand man. That's like if Peter Tosh was alive today as a reggae artist and he got assassinated, they'd be trying to find out who did that.
Right.
Same thing with Big. We all still waiting for, they say Poochie did and Poochie's dead. But, Poochie died. That's a whole nother topic.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Poochie been dead.
Okay. But
then there's Amir Muhammad cat allegedly in Georgia that, is saying he's completely innocent and he's a real estate agent now, but whatever. But.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
All these guys that talk all this gangster stuff and this street stuff, when Big and Pac died, and it's no shot at they mans in them because I don't know how it mentally affected them, but when you was talking and acting crazy in all those records, how come you ain't right on the dudes that popped your man? I just want to know that. There's no way nobody in my crew you would have did that to at that stage in my life, and you would have been walking around here breathing. I'm not going to say no names and who would done what in the team, but you wouldn't have been walking around here breathing. No way. No way. Let's just put it, to make an example, I'm going to say this one time. Keefy D and them, that was the worst kept secret in L.A. You were out after about a few years. How did this guy walk around this whole time and you ain't do nothing to him? I don't care if Orlando got popped. Your ass was in the car too. You got to go. There ain't gonna be no. You gonna tell him live and laughing. He on a podcast laughing and talking about, yo, I'll do this and I'll do that. And come on, man. How come you ain't call your man? You be talking all this stuff. There's another person I want to call out, but we'll talk about that off record. But he was talking about when Pac died. He's like, yeah, I just want to be in a room with Keefy. No, why don't you go send your man to go do it? You got the money to do it. Why don't you go send your man? I
know who you're talking about.
Go send your man because your man went over there and tried to do something else, and that didn't work out well. Yeah.
Oh damn.
You're saying names. See, I was trying to be discreet about it.
My bad.
So it's just what it is, man. I don't understand it. I keep hearing all this stuff, but then when it pops off, everybody crying and talking about we need to stop the violence. But then you was on records, yo, we the team, we the crew, we got this, we do this, and then when it happens, don't nothing happen. You just sitting there crying at the funeral. That's all I'm saying. But you had the toughest crew in the world when it was going down. That's all I want to say.
Rest in peace, Tupac. Rest in peace, Big. You know, the
Facts.
casualties of war in our community.
Super facts.
We got one more branch of the Tupac tree.
Okay. That.
So I'm gonna lob you up a crazy alley-oop because this is impeccable. Shout out to Tupac's widow. Tupac's widow has been on an epic press run.
Oh Lord Jesus!
I ain't never see a press run like this. Like this is like the '93 Chicago Bulls. Tupac's widow, aka Jada Pinkett. I'm just gonna say Pinkett. I'm not gonna put the last name on her. I'm just gonna call her by her original name.
Yep.
Tupac's widow, aka Jada Pinkett, has been on an epic press run all week. And just when you thought it couldn't get better because she gave a little snippet one day, the next day she went on another podcast and gave an even more snippet.
Yeah.
It's been going down for 3 or 4 days. So recently, Tupac's widow got on a podcast and talked about how her and Will have been separated for 7 years. Nobody knew that. So then the wheels start clicking in our head. A, we didn't care. We didn't want to know because you keep offering us this information as the media.
Yeah.
But then we like, hold up. So why did you drag Will Smith to that red table talk to talk about an entanglement if y'all were legally separated?
She's an embarrassment, man.
I'm keep going because it got better, eh?
Yeah.
It got better.
Okay.
So then we're thinking, okay. Didn't he smack Chris Rock? Keep my wife's name out of your mouth. She's on the podcast saying,
Did that happen before or after when she put him on that podcast?
hey, that happened way after, years after.
No. I mean, when he put his hands on Chris Rock, did she say that at the red table?
That red table was years before. I need you to stay with me.
God.
This is why
that makes it even worse.
This is why this sounds worse.
Yeah,
I need you to stay with me.
Yeah.
So first was the red table talk years ago.
Right.
Then recently was the Oscar slap.
Right.
Now she's on podcast saying, I don't know what ticked Will off because he ain't my dude like that. She literally threw him under the bus.
And belittled him.
She was literally, I'm paraphrasing, like, maybe it's some old beef between him and Chris Rock. So you don't think that man was like internalizing, like, yo, somebody's making jokes about your health and I'm trying to protect you as your husband? No, she just threw him under the bus like, man, that ain't my dude like that. I don't know what he tripping for. Then it gets better. That's already worse. She's on Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson's podcast, and we all been speculating, making little jokes about her and Tupac's relationship because you young cats probably don't know, but she was linked to Tupac back in the 90s. You know, they grew up in Baltimore.
Yep.
And it was always played off as the media is just tripping because Pac died young and she moved on and immediately got married. She recently went on the podcast and said 2 things. Tupac proposed to me at Rikers Island. Nobody ever knew that.
Nope.
Here's the last thing. She started talking about how Tupac's her soulmate and how they shared past lives together. At this point, I know you don't believe in divorces, Tupac widow, but why don't you just let that man free? Why don't you let that man get a divorce so he can get therapy and move on with his life? Have you ever saw somebody, and I'm not going to generalize all women or a specific group of women, so I'm just going to say, have you ever seen somebody do this to an individual that they so-called care about?
No. She has like mental illness, man. There's some mental
What is your
illness,
take on Tupac's widow throwing Will Smith under the bus like this?
He's calling Tupac's widow. I don't know. I think first of all, she has mental illness. That's one. I can spot that a mile away. Second, she needs to just, I don't know. She needs to duck and run and go somewhere.
We
Just
didn't
go
know
away.
90% of this information she gave us.
Yeah, she's a mess. That's what I think. She's a mess. Do you ever hear about, you know what, can I say something? And I don't want to generalize like you say. They keep saying, black men don't protect black women. That's what we don't protect. If you get drop kicked right now, I'm gonna sit right there with popcorn and watch. I'm serious, son. I can't.
Tupac's widow.
Yeah, I can't protect that. No. Nope. It's just
Because Will Smith tried to protect her, and then she's on a podcast saying,
first of all,
that's not my dude like that. I don't know what he was tripping for that night.
I don't know. She must have like some. I gotta say some.
She called Tupac her soulmate while she's still legally married to Will. Hey, when you get married to somebody, ain't that supposed to be your soulmate?
Yeah.
Pac been going almost 30 years. How's that? Y'all should have shared past lives together.
She must have some. I'm gonna say this the most professional way. You ever seen Harlem Nights?
Oh yeah.
She must be like Sunshine or something. I don't. Me personally, I don't see it, but I can, man. I don't. Why? And then
Honey, I'm
said,
not coming home.
And then she said,
y'all too young to get that reference.
You missed that point too. You missed another point. She said that Chris Rock asked her out, which I'm finding hard to believe. But why? I don't see it.
Again, we didn't know that information. Yeah. And you're still legally married to Will Smith because according to her words, not ours, she don't believe in divorces. This is the most unhealthiest thing I done seen. You're better off getting a divorce if you're going to do this to them. I had two theories. Either Will Smith done did the craziest thing we just don't know about, or she literally hates that man.
Yeah. And she's doing, and I mean, with the, just think about the kids, fam.
You're saying this while y'all have kids.
Yeah. And like they're old enough. It ain't like.
They're old enough to understand what's going on.
Right.
They got social media accounts.
Yeah. Oh Lord Jesus.
I'm married to your dad, but I still want Tupac to clap these cheeks.
Yo, I got no words. I got nothing.
I'm married to your dad, but Tupac still can hit the Dougie Fresh.
Yeah.
That's how she sounds. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
And he just got to sit there and take it. But let them find out he's dating somebody. It'll be all in the tabloids. And, ain't you still technically married to Jay? Have we ever heard anything about Will Smith in the last 10 years?
No, I haven't. This is movie stuff, man. I don't know. This is just ridiculous. It's sad and pathetic. And it's just embarrassment all around, period.
This has been the most epic press run that I've seen
and
anybody
there's
on.
Nothing hip-hop about it, period. Let me make that point. That's all I have to say about it. That has nothing to do with hip-hop, period.
It's not, but she done pulled Tupac in it.
Whatever, man.
Her soulmate.
She's the equivalent of what Big Pun said on the record. He said, "Where I know you from? Middle school." I said, "Man, go that way, man." Yeah, got there. Oh man. So I don't have much to say about that. Just everything that she's done and represented. Now as an actress, I mean, you can't take her credentials away.
Jason Lyric was crazy.
As far as with the representation of as she's a black male, no.
Yeah. Free Will Smith. I hope they both get therapy. Shout out to Tupac's widow.
Oh my God.
Because we all watching. And again, you can't blame us media because you're literally offering us information we did not ask for.
Facts. Yep.
So shout out to Tupac's widow. You're doing an impeccable job. Let's transition.
Christ.
We're going to start off sports.
Okay.
And before we jump into the college and professional avenues, we're going to jump in. Some news just came up, so I'm going to use this, and then we're going to segue into college and so forth. Mm-hmm. So the news came up that people from our culture is taking over a popular brand. So I don't know if you heard the news, but Allen Iverson
and
Shaquille O'Neal has pretty much taken over Reebok or given high prominent positions. Allen Iverson is the vice president, and Dr. O'Neal, I'm going to show him respect because he has his doctorate. Dr. Shaquille O'Neal is the president of Reebok basketball. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that? And then I got some more to add on, and then we're going to transition into college and professional.
As far as what, that's them taking over to be the vice president?
Them taking over, and then I got some more.
I think it's a good thing for the company, for Reebok. Damn Dame. I can't stand Dame Dash because he's implemented this in my head like a stain.
Go ahead.
But they don't own it. So it's as great as it is, and it will help Reebok get back on the map because I think the Iversons, I'll wear Iversons all day. I don't care, but they don't own it. So if they don't have any stake in ownership in none of the, I think I haven't seen an article about what the deal actually is, other than them being the president, vice president. But I wonder if for whatever deals they bring to the table of that sneaker, do they get a percentage of ownership of that sneaker?
I would say yes, because Shaq has always been very astute in business. And people have always said everything he partners with, he owns a certain percentage.
Okay.
So yes, I'm more going in on the brand side. We're in a sneaker culture. We wear sneakers, but as far as sport athletes compared to sneaker brands, Reebok has been last on the list for decades. Outside of Allen Iverson's, I don't remember what popular.
They had
N1 had a sneaker. Shout out to N1.
They had the sneaker with the bubble tip.
Yeah, that's nice.
The bubble
that's cute.
Come on, man. That was the banging joints. Why you keep hating? Don't hate.
Point I'm making is all the popular athletes went to Nike, Jordan Brand, Adidas, and then even recently, even Puma revived itself with LaMelo Ball. Skylar Diggins is over there, and some younger cats.
With Reebok?
No, with Puma.
Puma, okay.
So my thing is, and I'm going to keep this short and brief, in order for this to be successful from a branding standpoint, y'all are going to have to do some things that's never been done. So I didn't include this part when I talked about this on our TikTok.
Right.
Now that college athletes and high school athletes can make money off their name, image, and likeness,
right,
Reebok needs to go do one-off deals with popular high school and college athletes.
Right.
So I'm going to give you some examples. So Carmelo Anthony has a son named Kion Anthony.
Right.
I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. He's in 11th grade. He's nationally ranked, and he hasn't chosen a school yet. You need to get in touch with his representation, whether it's Carmelo Anthony or whoever, and see if he's interested in a one-year deal. Doesn't have to be long-term because he's a popular high school athlete. He's nationally ranked. You know he's going to be on the major circuits. He does a one-year deal before he chooses a school. It's not going to hurt his scholarship because, you know, some of these schools are tied in with Nike and blah, blah, blah. The second thing you need to do, and he's not the only athlete. I'll give you another example. So somebody like Gilbert Arenas has a son. His son is in the 10th grade and he's tearing it up. He's like 6'6" as a 15-year-old.
Jesus.
And he's scoring like 30 points a game out in California. So before he chooses a school, which he's only in the 10th grade, see if he's interested in a one-off deal. But I'm going to be even more specific. There's a bunch of women athletes in the WNBA and in college that don't have shoe deals. Does Aja Wilson has a shoe deal?
I don't think so.
And she's about to win her second championship? Does Angel Reese have a shoe deal?
No.
And you see how she's tearing up the NIL for collegiate?
Facts.
I will hope that Shaq and Allen Iverson go get some of those athletes, go get some of those high school ballers, both men and women. Go get some of those top collegiate athletes, both men and women. And go get some of those WNBA athletes that don't got shoe deals. I think they would be very innovative if they go that route. If you try to still like, oh, when is Anthony Edwards' contract up and we'll try to go get him, that's not going to work.
Right.
You're going to have to start at the bottom, be innovative, go get those athletes, go get those high school ballers, go get those WNBA ballers, and I think you'll be able to do something great. That's just my take.
They could go get the HBCUs. Just saying.
Why you hit me like that? You just uppercutted my whole argument. I ain't even think about that.
Yeah, they could. But we'll see.
Hell no. Go in on that. Because you just uppercutted my whole argument.
I think a lot of with the sneaker deals now, I don't know the deals that they got now. I know Dion had one Under Armour at Jackson State, but a lot of these HBCUs don't got that. What do they really got? And what athletes are you really sending over there? I think you the one that blew it up to me. Like one of Shaq's kids play at Texas Southern.
Texas Southern. Nobody.
So how
not getting no promotion.
So how you not you can't bring that down there and take Reebok with you and then go get kids that's coming out and saying, yo, you come over here. We got the NIL deal. And you on an HBCU platform. And we'll take this and do something groundbreaking. You want to do something groundbreaking and set the trend and not follow the trend. And I don't think they're going to get it. But, I mean, that's just me. You
just gave the fucking alley-oop.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure anybody watching this podcast.
We're going to put this out.
Yeah.
This is why you the brains of the operation, man. This is why you the boss, man.
Oh, here you go, man. I think you're
Can you hit that point one more time?
I think that with the HBCUs, they should hit the HBCUs.
Shaq, Allen Iverson, y'all need to hit them HBCUs.
And y'all name is Biggs down there. But nobody's, if they go down there and they shoot NIL deals, they get these kids coming out, it'll be a big thing. And they can do something groundbreaking. Because now you got it's like what the Fab Five did with the baggy shorts and the ball heads. It was a hip hop thing. Mm-hmm. And we gravitated towards it, but it was still Michigan. I'm talking about go to HBCU with the Reeboks.
There's 3 different conferences.
Out and then do what you do.
There's the Meek, the SWAC, and what's it?
The CIA.
CIA.
Something like that. CIA. But, they're Division II. But that ain't and then there's Tennessee State that's in Ohio Valley, Missouri Valley, whatever. Point I'm making is you could do something groundbreaking. It's like what John Thompson did for Georgetown, but it was still Georgetown. So it ain't really us. It's just we rock Georgetown gear because of what Georgetown looked like us on the basketball team. Mm-hmm. But if you go down to HBCUs where everything looks like us, you dominate in the market. I'm pretty sure Nike, if you go down there and say, yo, look, this is who we is, what we doing. You recruiting kids that's coming out, and you bringing the hip hop back in there, and there's a market. I'm not gonna give it away because you're gonna say, yo, hey, don't do it.
No,
like you gonna make them pay for that idea. But the point I'm making is, it's like if you were to bring our culture, which is already a culture down there, with Reebok behind it, shut down the industry, and you can do something. You would make
bigger waves than Deion Sanders did for Jackson State.
Let me also say this. You know why it'd be groundbreaking? Because it's like Georgetown and them. See, when they blow up, Georgetown ain't really that good right now. But if they was to come back, they could bring back all that gear, because it's forever. What I forgot. It's like when we talk about hip hop. It's a catalog. Mm-hmm. It's not gonna go away. You get what I'm saying? So you want to create something groundbreaking so that it won't go away. I can tell you, if they do that with the HBCUs, they'll be great.
And there's multiple schools down there.
There's a way they can do it.
Basketball, football,
but let's
apparel.
See if they try. Yeah.
Hopefully when we put this out, Shaq and AI and Reebok, y'all listen.
Yep.
Support the HBCUs.
Rich Paul, come see us.
Rich Paul.
Yeah. So
let's transition, because now we're in the sports lane. How you want to start off sports?
Do you want to talk about the media part, or do you want to just go into the teams?
Yeah, because we was already on HBCUs, so let's start there.
All right, so we've been. I'm just gonna say from my perspective, and you can add on to it because you see it. It's clearly, we talked about this before, like one of our first podcasts about
Black media.
I think that had to be like a year ago, and now fast forward and it's getting worse. I'm seeing things with Black media.
So's Roland Martin.
Roland Martin has talked about this because I've seen the clips you sent. And it's now becoming a thing, and I'm gonna talk about Jim Trotter too in a minute. It's now becoming a thing with Black media. It's the taboo thing in the room, and it seems like they don't want to talk about it. They keep trying to brush us to the side because nobody's speaking up. And it's, if you don't work for ESPN or Fox, you ain't going to get nobody. You're not going to be able to talk to nobody. It's basically, if you get invited into the room
of these media,
and you just sit there and you just monitor and watch. So say, as we have been before, we have been in rooms in press conferences where we're getting our hands waved at.
Literally.
Like, yo, put your hand down. You ain't going to ask no question. You can just sit here and watch the press conference. How like disgusting
is the civil rights of media.
Like I'm some servant Negro that needs permission to just be grateful you here. So just sit here and just watch why these kids that are not writing articles, that are not doing anything, that are working for a school paper that nobody's reading, is getting all this access to locker rooms, to players, asking questions at the press room.
Multiple.
While you getting told to put your hand down.
Even people that didn't come, that's on a Zoom.
They ain't even showing up.
But you made the sacrifice through the rain to drive 3 hours
Facts.
To a professional event that you've been covering since 2010.
Making facts. And then and it's happening in multiple leagues.
Not just us, but a lot of other people.
A lot of people. So it's happening in NFL. Because Roger Goodell, and I gotta give credibility because I'm always on Stephen A. Smith's behind. He did ask Roger Goodell about that. He put him right on Front Street, right on the show. He asked him about it because right, the NFL has a real serious issue. Their race problem is real bad with media. Okay, I can guarantee you take a screenshot of the media in a lot of these NFL post-game conferences, there's nobody that looks like us.
And we're not talking about the big guys that work at the networks. We're actually talking about the beat writers that are getting access to the locker rooms.
Super facts. You got the NFL that has a problem. Surprisingly enough, the NBA has a problem. And the WNBA has a problem, and college basketball in some venues have a problem. And it's the mid-majors, they don't do it so much, but in the major ones like the Big Ten, the Pac-12 that barely exists in the SEC, they make you run through hula hoops just to go. And then when you get there, you looking like, yo, why is this guy here?
People falling asleep.
People falling asleep in press conferences and stuff. You be looking like, yo, what you doing here, man? You shouldn't even be here. If we did that, they would kick us out.
Mm-hmm.
So to see what I'm seeing and to go through everything I'm going, and us too, like us, Roland Martin's talking about it.
What advertisement?
Marvin Chambers has talked about it for 4.0 Sports Media.
Shout out to
He
Marvin.
has an interesting article about this. Jim Trotter has now filed a lawsuit about the blatant racism going on in the NFL with media, that we don't get the opportunities that we're supposed to. At what point is somebody going to step up and say something? We just talked about Rich Paul. Maybe Rich Paul should see this and he should come, because he don't went through it with the agency thing. I'm telling you, there's a problem in media. I'm tired of going in these rooms and being told just sit down and just watch like you a boy. It's kind of like what Skip did to Shannon that one day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sick of dealing with it, and we're not going away.
And let me say this:
Yeah,
if it don't apply to you, let it fly.
right.
Don't get in my DMs and say, "Are you talking about it?" If it's not you, then you know it's not you. We're talking about blatant, overt stuff that we've been through since 2010.
Facts.
We didn't just start in 2017. We've been going through this since 2010. So if it don't apply to you, we're not talking to you.
Right.
Go ahead.
And the one thing that's really disturbing me is when we talk about Trotter, I'll get back to that in a minute, but not to sound like I'm all over the place. The one thing that's really bothering me is some people, I'm not saying names yet, and let me make this one point clear before I go into the tyrant. Let me make it very clear. I'm going to start naming names. Y'all better hope us black media don't all start getting together and start having conversations, because I'm starting to see it leak out. It's leaking out. Like people, there's black media outlets that are having issues, and it's funny because
in multiple states,
right? In multiple
Jersey.
There's I'm seeing multiple black media outlets starting to complain. At some point, you're gonna have to start answering that question. Why is it the person that looks like you seems to be getting to answer the questions? And mind you, I see cats that don't show up, don't never be there, and all of a sudden no, put their hand down. They get to ask a question. For what, man? For what? And let me make this clear, too. There's another problem I got. Go ahead.
Go here with this. Not just the asking the questions in the media room, but actually being told by media coordinators in the NFL, like, yeah, we decline your press pass to even come to a summer camp. We don't even get in the summer camp. We don't even want to explain to you why.
Right, exactly. They telling us that. They like, yo,
they're that bold.
Yeah, facts. And
you can't even beat right to a summer practice, even though we've been professionally covering sports for 13 years.
Right. And let me go over another element that's bothering me. It's sometimes when they say, well, why can't you use racism? There's people in our media team that runs the media team that gives acceptance that looks like you. Mm-hmm. Oh,
they use the token.
Are we gonna do the token thing now? Mm-hmm. Is that what we're gonna do?
That's their shield.
Yeah. So basically, you have 1, 2. Let's just be honest. That's it. And then nothing else changes. So if there's a room full of people that don't look like us, but mind you, the players, and let me go here. I'm not calling out the players, but let me make it clear. You don't find it odd that all the media, none of them look like you, but the guy on ESPN and Fox, you don't find that odd. There's nothing you're gonna do about it? Come on, speak up. You got no problem saying, yo, we should all stick together and we should all do this. Y'all need to speak up. No lie, and I'm gonna say this one point. I saw Shannon Sharp post a screenshot of when Denver was like, they were winning Super Bowls. And the media was around them. There wasn't one person of black of descent of black of diversity in the crowd. Not one. That was back in, I'd probably say, because they were winning around 96, 97.
Late 90s.
That was late 90s. So we're 20 years down the line, we still seeing
same thing.
Still seeing same thing. Jim Trotter has made the accusations, and he's came out. And you know what's funny? Nobody else is really saying nothing but Roland Martin of his stats. Everybody else is real quiet. I'm going to say some names. Not as far as who we're talking about. Maybe Shannon Sharp, who's talking about how he's trying to create a very healthy podcast. He's trying to create a media platform, right, to expand. Mm-hmm. Maybe he should get at us. And Rich Paul, too, since he's running around with a book tour and talking about how he's changing the game. I want to know how you walk in a room and you don't see the media that don't look like us. And I'm not talking about ESPN and Fox, man. I want you to go in there to LeBron's games and I want you to tell me how many people you see that look like me, that have our own platform and we ain't getting opportunities. But ain't nobody talking about that.
Man, this Gatorade is refreshing.
Facts. But like I said, this is just a start. I'm so wanting to say, but I'm kind of, it's like what you tell me, like, we ain't going to run for emotions. We just going to play chess. I'm sick of seeing what I'm seeing.
And it's been for years. Like, first you take your lumps and say, okay, we just figuring it out because we got in here. It's for year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. But I'm looking around like, yo, we got a catalog of work like we've been pushing for since 2010. We're going to 2014. So now I'm starting to metaphorically, and I'm not going to be professional, put my nuts on the table. We're not some guys that's only been doing this 5, 6, 7, 8 years. We can show you videos of us in the locker room interviewing Maya Moore when she was a rookie. People who classify her as the GOAT. That's how long we've been doing this for. So to see that we're still, in some cases, struggling to get media access to certain venues professionally and collegiately, or when we get there, we're being told to, hey, put your hand down and being treated like the civil rights movement did in media, it's like, wow, we're still doing this. And then to see outside of us, because we could take ourselves out the equation. Like you said, there's other media outlets that we network with, and we're all talking like, oh, that's happening to you in Jersey? Oh, that's happening to you in Connecticut? Oh, that's happening to you down south?
Facts.
And then we take ourselves out the equation and then start looking at the professionals like, wow, y'all talking about it on a professional level. So when is anybody going to start speaking out about it and start, ruffling some feathers? Because it's disgusting.
It's very disgusting.
On an advertisement level, it's disgusting. On the media access level, not just financial, it's like every avenue of the media aspect is disgusting.
And we do it at another level. I mean, I don't care about you. Let me be honest, man. I don't care about your BS article. Half these kids coming from, you got a school newspaper. I know ain't nobody looking at that school nutpaper, man. Nobody care about what you read about the Giants in that school newspaper. They don't care. They don't care about you, what you write. Nobody cares. You some little dun trying to write something in the school newspaper. That's who you letting in there? What check they cutting you, man? Come on, son. Keep it funky. What check they cutting you? I don't even know how they got the pass. Sitting up there and watching Seinfeld on their phone and BSing and doing whatever they doing.
Let me talk to that. Can I talk?
Yeah,
we done saw that. So when we're getting denied or we're being like, oh, you can ask one question, but then be quiet. We done saw people falling asleep.
Oh, my God.
Multiple times on all different levels, on professional and collegiate level, but they always get the access. We're sitting up here like, how is this happening? Like, I could pull media passes and credentials out since 2010, and people are looking at us like we are still the new guys on the block.
Yeah.
But there's somebody in front of us falling asleep, snoring in a press conference.
Oh, my God. I can't believe it. And
there's people on their phones in the press conference.
Chilling.
There's people asking redundant questions that don't make no sense.
Not one.
And we're like, did you even watch the game that you got the media pass to?
Not one. And how many times have we seen stuff? We like, yo, they ain't even doing nothing, man. They just sitting in here doing nothing. We don't see an article. Sometimes you don't see an article from us, but you see content. Sometimes you see an article, but you don't see the I've seen they don't even have a post-game interview. Mm-hmm. They ain't got nothing. And we well, a lot of people look at the article. No, they don't, man. No, they don't. They don't look at that article. Come on, man. My grandmother don't even read all the papers that come in there every day. Don't play me stupid. Don't do it. Don't do it. It is the most irritating, disrespectful thing. And let me tell you, that's just one element of it, of us getting denied, and then we have to fight our way to get back in the door, to fight to get in the door. And I'm not talking about, like you said, it ain't every media outlet. It's
if
just,
it don't apply, let it fly. We're just saying
something.
We've been going through this since 2010.
Then it's the thing of when you get in there and you got just people just, certain coaches feeling like they can disrespect you. We done been through that.
Oh, we've been through that a couple years ago.
Well, we don't feel like,
and we could talk about that because she's no longer there.
Yeah. I still ain't going to say their name yet.
Okay.
I'll embarrass them when I see them. But the point, I like pull a dame and just start talking crazy. Point I'm making is like, the disrespect The lack of respect they showing. Mind you, they got Black Lives Matter up on their social media page, but they disrespecting black media outlets. That's just asking them a normal, common question, not even the stupidity of questions that the other people are writing or asking. So I'm like I said, once again, this is an issue. We're just scratching the surface of what we're saying. At some point, if y'all keep ignoring us and thinking that y'all gonna win this fight, you keep it up. There's but so many times I like to play. I like to fight too. So we gonna keep it up. They only got one more time, and I'm gonna start calling names. Once again, I don't know how. It's no shot at any of these guys. Magic guy with the Commanders, and I don't know how much black media is in that room. Can
you talk about that briefly?
Is there any black media in that room where the Washington Commanders are at? Then they just get Magic in there.
Where's that location at?
In Washington. What's
the demographic?
Black. It's predominantly black in Washington. They call it Chocolate City, man. So, hey, what do I know, though? Maybe Rich Paul, you on a book tour influencing people. Maybe you should listen to us and come talk to us. Jim Trotter's over there. He got a lawsuit. You can check Marvin Chambers' website. He has a real interesting article about blatant racism in sports media.
Shout out to Marvin Chambers.
Who else am I missing here? There's somebody else. Roland Martin, he's making it blatantly clear. So,
every chance he gets.
So at some point, I don't know what we're talking about here.
Because people think that we're the little guy complaining, but we got mid-level people and we got bigger people all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So you got the little guys at the bottom, you got the mid-level people that's in top divisions, and then you got the Roland Martins of the world.
Yep. Some point, we'll see. But I'm going to start naming the teams. And then in the funny email, we respectfully decline. Yeah, all right. You didn't come find out. You ain't even look at the site. You didn't even look at our content. You didn't even look at our catalog. You just saw who we were and you said no. That's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I'm going to end it with this. You only got one more time.
I'm going to end it like this. I'm going to be straight up. As somebody that's been in this space doing the work for 13, 14 years, not just in hip hop, not just in fashion and politics, but in sports, I'm putting a call to action out to all black media, not just in New York, but countrywide. I don't care how small you are. I don't care if you just started your blog last year. If you're a black media outlet, we need to start having these conversations when we see each other.
Yeah.
When you walking through University X, throw the head nod up.
Yep.
After the game, let's politic.
Yeah.
No matter where you're at.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about us. I'm talking about in general. You see, if you're a black person in media and you're down in Texas or you're in California or you're in Middle America and you're covering a professional event as media, when that event is over and you see another black media, y'all two need to get together and collaborate.
Facts.
Exchange notes, exchange numbers, exchange experiences. And then we need to keep that conversation going. Because I know if we're doing it, then people outside should be doing it. Because if we keep that conversation going on the small level, on the grassroots level, it's going to explode eventually.
John Quell Jones and Benaz Jelani, you two need to start realizing and looking at that room and wonder why there's no black media in the room. Sorry to call y'all out like that because I know y'all going through something traumatic with what's going on with Vegas and you're focused in, but I guarantee when y'all go in that room, y'all ain't seen nobody that look like you. Just want to put that out there. Maybe you need to look at your media head because he seems to really doesn't like the people that look like you to ask anything. Maybe you should say something. Just a thought.
Shout out to that funny guy. Now I could look in the camera and say that, but we'll keep it professional.
You're being nice when you say that.
We'll be professional. God bless you, sir.
Yep.
Shout out to black media. Let's transition.
Facts.
So, where you want to go from here? Let's talk about collegiate.
Well, we've been covering college football, so we've been covering CAA football mostly. It's going to be after season now, so now we're going to kind of expand out. But we've been covering different games. So I want to talk about UAlbany, and definitely because it's been 6-7 weeks. It's been 6 weeks.
Yep.
So we're at the halfway point. Right now, UAlbany, who's one of the major schools we cover, They are literally 4-2, and they're knocking on the door at being at the top.
They're the third seed. They're a top 3 seed.
Yeah.
The first seed is Elon. The second seed is Delaware. Third seed is UAlbany. Then under them is William and Mary.
You got to look at the overall record, though.
I know.
William and Mary's got the better overall record, period, right?
Because they play one more game.
Right. Yeah, right. Because UAlbany played week 0. So, long story short, UAlbany, who is doing their thing, they are now 4-2. They have had impressive wins. One was against Fordham, which we saw, and
spanked them.
Oh my God, did they? But I think what was more impressive and what's been impressive is UAlbany's defense.
Can you briefly touch on the difference that you're seeing from last season, versus this season?
Well, most games UAlbany was in every game last year. It was either they were up or they were coming back. They were fighting. But they would always give up a big run, a big lead, or, it was always something, to pass something. It just defensive-wise, they weren't doing well. They were getting burnt in the backfield. They weren't getting the pass rush. It just seemed like whether they played zone, dropped 8, dropped 7, dropped 6, maybe try a blitz, it just wasn't working out. Mm-hmm. But this year, they're kind of just all over the place. Who's definitely making waves, if I'm not mistaken.
The Bash Brothers
is funny. Is AJ Simon? He's one of them.
The Bash Brothers.
Okay, and then there's what's the other gentleman's name? He said the Bash Brothers.
That's what they call themselves.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. See, and then there's Dylan Kelly. Mm-hmm. AJ Simon and Dylan Kelly, they really stick out. One, because AJ Simon creates a lot of pressure. If he doesn't sack you, he's got a lot of hurries. Dylan Kelly, because he just seems, as they say a phrase in football, he has a nose for the football. So, long story short, he has a nose for the football. He's always leading the league. He's leading the game in tackles. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Not to cut you off, but just to throw the person in there that's leading the FCS in sacks is Anton.
Okay.
Him and AJ Simon called each other the Bash Brothers. Okay. But go ahead. So shout out to Anton.
Yeah.
But Dylan Kelly doing his thing this week.
He's
go ahead.
All over the field, man. All over the field. He's always leading the team in tackles in every game, most of the games. So UAlbany, I think what impressed me, and it's going to sound crazy, it wasn't the fact that they shut down Fordham and they beat them.
Talk about the other team.
What they did to Villanova was crazy.
What they did to Villanova was crazy.
But what it was is like what impressed me is when they played Marshall, is the losses. When they were losing those 2 games, they kind of, like, Marshall beat them barely. Barely won that game. Hawaii, same thing. Hawaii had to fight them out of that.
And I want to say it was not Hawaii, but the Marshall game, like, they had, like, almost shut them out in the first half. It was the second half that kind of got away from them.
Right.
They could have won that.
Right. Like
they win that game, they're at the top of the division.
And then I think what's even more impressive as one of the other elements is that they played the Morgan State game, and that was a nasty weather game. They had that game won initially, and then I forgot who the running back was. He had the ball. He was going into the into darkness, as they say. The ball pops out, fumbles. Morgan State takes it, goes down, scores. I mean, they were already close to the end zone, but they ended up scoring. They go into overtime. UAlbany pulled it out. They figured out a way to win. They pulled it out in overtime. Then it was who else did they played Villanova. That was the other game. There's one more team they played. They beat. They won. Who else did they play? Townsend. They pulled that out in the end. Most of these, not to cut you off, most of these games that they're winning now, especially in conference play, last year they would have lost them. Like that Morgan State game over.
Can we talk about Morgan State and Townsend, to your point?
Like at the end, the fumble happened. I'm gonna
add on to that just to give you a gem.
Okay.
So both of them was a goal line stop. I'm 4-1.
Well,
I don't want to jump ahead.
No.
If that's where you was going.
No, I wasn't going there.
So,
go ahead.
Is his name Dylan or Dylan?
I want to say Dylan.
Shout out to Dylan. But initially, when you watched the play that they stopped on the goal line, it was Elijah Hill that broke through the line and initially grabbed him.
Right.
And then Dylan got on that ass.
Yeah.
Game over.
Right.
Shout out to I think and I'm gonna pass the mic back to you. I think there's gonna be, if healthy, so I'll knock on some wood. They're gonna have multiple players on that team make all defensive teams at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Shouts out to the secondary too. They're doing a great job. I think because it's like a compliment. You know that pass rush is coming, so it makes them throw the ball faster. Even when last year when they were dropping people, they were dropping 6-7 guys back there. They were still getting beat. As opposed to
like Amir Hall and Deshaun Winston
and Larry Walker.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I should be saying their names. I apologize, gentlemen, but it's just a different game. I think, and we'll get them in here one day, sooner or later. I think what they learned from last year, from the losses, I think they learned a lot, and they learned how to end games and learn how to. It's also a mental thing, like they didn't check out. I'm telling you, that Morgan State game that really showed me too. It was the losses with the bigger schools that impressed me, which just sounds crazy, but it was the Morgan State game, it was the Townsend game. I mean Villanova, that wasn't even competition. They just they said there's a difference. Mm-hmm. So from what I'm seeing from them now, from the way they're looking, it looks like they're playoff bound. I thought they were going to do 500 or better, but I mean, from right now, it looks like they're going to be playoff bound.
We're going to knock on some wood and hope they remain healthy.
And no disrespect, also to Julian Hicks, Reese. See, the offense was already banging.
The offense is booming.
Yeah, the offense was already high powered. So if I'm not bringing you up,
shout out to Reese, the quarterback, Reese Poffenberger,
the Julian Hicks,
Brevin Eston,
right? It's not
Marquise Dietz,
right?
Wide receiver.
It's not that we don't think y'all Illmatic.
Roy Alexander from Harlem. I'm shouting him out, boy.
we just already knew how Illmatic y'all was. We're just impressed that the defense has now changed up, and now they have stepped up. But the offense was always there.
High power offense.
Yeah, super facts. So now you have a defense that can get stops and now come after you, and now you have a high-powered offense. It's just a dangerous mix. But
keep going.
They're gonna see New Hampshire. I mean, for right now, this podcast.
There's also another person I got to bring up because he's shocking me.
Ooh.
Normally freshmen get in and it's hit or miss. They're trying to grow. They're trying to learn the system. Mm-hmm. This running back from Glens Falls by the name of Griffin Woodell, or I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, but I'll say Griffin. The running back, number 28. He's a freshman. He's had some impressive games as a running back. Not to say they haven't had dynamic backs before, like what's his name?
Carl Morford?
Yeah. They had dynamic backs. This guy's a little bit bigger and very dynamic. That kid is shocking me as a freshman, man. He looks like he stayed healthy. He's going to do great things. Okay. Go ahead.
No, I'm impressed by this team. And I kind of had, we didn't get on the podcast before that because we were kind of starting the season. So, and mind you, the WNBA was in the playoff mode. So we weren't able to get on set and talk about it. But we had projected UAlbany to be over 500. We had projected, I was thinking maybe like 6-5, maybe 7-4, something like that.
They might catch it.
I think they might be doing better than that. I think they're going to be doing better than that.
I'm going to say this because we saw they're playing New Hampshire tomorrow.
They're playing New Hampshire tomorrow.
We saw them when New Hampshire came to UAlbany last year, and their running back, I can't pronounce his name. Dylan Lube. Yeah. Lube.
Yeah.
He ran all over the field. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to put this out there. By the time this podcast come, the game might be over.
Yeah.
If UAlbany defense shuts down Dylan Lube's run game tomorrow, they running the table for the rest of the conference.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. If this comes out after the game, then you'll know. Wow. If UAlbany defense shuts down Lob's, pardon me if I'm mispronouncing your name, if they shut down his run game from New Hampshire, that's going to tell me everything I need to know about the rest of the season for UAlbany.
This is the next three, and I know half the season is coming. This is going to tell us, and I'm not saying that it didn't already. I'll tell you, I was already impressed with the Hawaii and Marshall game because I saw what was coming. But New Hampshire, who even though I think they're 3-2 or 3-3 or something like that, they're still the champs from last year, and they still have a high-powered, tough, physical team. That's their next game, which is tomorrow. Then there's the game against Rhode Island, who also was 4-2 and at the top, one of the top spots in the conference. And then even though they play Maine, the following week they play William and Mary, who is another top team. These next 3 games, the 3 out of 4 games, is going to tell us by the time that ends, we'll know whether or not.
Oh yeah, it's the end of the season.
Well,
yeah.
well, no, not just that.
But I know what you're saying.
Well, we'll see where they're at. This is their moment. This is it. So it's kind of what they call a fork in the road.
Mm-hmm.
You're either gonna go one way or the other, and you have to win those games if you want to.
At least you got to split them.
It's kind of like how can I put it? It's like when you're ready to take the next step to get the championship. It's like either you're good or you're not. It's like how can I put this in the NFL? The Chiefs are the top team, but let's just admit it, man. Let's just admit it, right? Buffalo's a great team, right? They're good until they go and play the Chiefs. They're good until they go play the Bengals. So if they want to win a Super Bowl, if they want to see Philly or San Fran, because that's who you're gonna have to see clearly at the East, you're gonna have to go through those teams. So you only as good until you show us you can beat those teams. Then you'll get to where you gotta go. That's just what I'm gonna say about that. That's where you always at. They're good now, and they are definitely great. But we got to see you go up to New Hampshire and go win that game. We got to see you when William Mary comes to play. We got to see you take it to them.
Shout out to the CAA conference because we've been covering it.
Yes.
And they're expanding. Mm-hmm. You gave an analogy of what they're going to be for mid-majors. You said it a while ago.
They're going to be like the
Big Ten or the Big 12.
The Big Ten SEC at the mid-majors at some point.
Great competition, great football games, no matter where you go, no matter who's your school. It's great competition. Shout out to all the student athletes. Mm-hmm. Shout out to all the teams. We cover Albany and some other teams. We support some other teams. We support the HBCUs. We got love in Rhode Island. So we ain't going to leave nobody out. Shout out to the CAA conference. And
Stony Brook, all of them.
Yeah. Good luck to the teams playing tomorrow because it's going to be packed for the CAA conference.
Yeah. A lot of great games on the slate. I want to also did you want to say something else? I wanted to go into what we did. So we did with week 0 with that, and then we went into week 1, and I think week 1 was Hampton versus Grambling.
Yes, sir.
Which was a Brick City Classic. There's so many things I want to say about this, because I know we're on limited time. There's some things I want to say. So let me make this abundantly clear. It was a great game. I think it was very great for the culture.
For HBCU culture, yes.
Culture, and for the hip-hop culture, and for people that look like us culture. I think the only thing I was disappointed was there was no promotion. I mean, the game was on NFL Network. That's the positive thing. So, yes, it got looked at. Yes. But at the same time, it didn't get promoted. Like, if we wasn't coming to CA, I would have never known about it. Mm-hmm. I didn't know they was coming up here. I didn't know nothing about that game. Can
you drop the bombshell?
Oh, about the media part?
Drop the bombshell.
We go into the media room, and there's no media in the room. All the media. Let me say. So now I'm gonna get the flip side. You got me started.
Go ahead.
So let me say this. I keep seeing this is another element about black media. I've seen all these people come to the game. They're taking pictures. They're eating food. They're look at me. Boom, boom, boom. I see people coming late to the game to cover the game. What are you doing coming late? Really? I guarantee this was the Giants. You just showed your behind up here at 9 o'clock in the morning to make sure you was here. You showing up in the second quarter of the game, and that was one element that was irritating me. Another one was when we get to the press conference, there's no media there.
We're literally one of 2 media outlets.
Two, because I think the other one, the third one that came in, they said they didn't even know where it was at. They didn't even know. How could you let that happen? How?
There's no ESPN representation.
No ESPN,
there's no Fox representation.
Nothing. Nobody.
There's no school. I'm even going as far as saying there was no school writers there.
No, none.
There was literally independent black media that showed up, and no other representation.
It broke my heart to see that.
This is Hugh Jackson, who we know how big Hugh Jackson is from Grambling. Mm-hmm. And I think they're plugged in with Adidas. And this is Robert Prunty from Hampton with legendary Hampton, the culture of Hampton. and no media showed up but 3 independent black media outlets.
Yeah, and
for a HBCU classic that was in a stadium in Jersey.
In Red Bull Arena, yeah.
In Red Bull Arena.
And the thing that hurt me about that is that I'm pretty sure NFL Network had their own thing going on with them after the game, but I'm very disappointed. And once again, I'm not going to say no names yet. I think one of them was a media person I've seen over there in the WNBA. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, really? You taking pictures and doing all that? Why you wasn't in the room? What are you doing? And I'm not talking about, it was like, I'm not talking about a photographer. I'm talking about there was somebody there that would be on their social media, doing all this, looking cute, taking pictures and doing all this, and you acting like you covering and you ain't doing nothing. I didn't see one thing. The only clips I saw, you know what was disappointing? And this is Dion knew to all this. This is why he left. I saw when the bands were out in the street and they did those videos. I've seen all those videos. I didn't see no video clips of the game. I didn't see any post-game. I didn't see anything.
Player interviews.
Nothing. Player interviews, nothing. And the only reason we didn't even get any player interviews because we thought they were going to bring the players to the post-game press conference, and there was none there. It was just the coaches. How do you let that happen? What are you doing? What are you doing, man? I'm saddened and I'm disappointed, and it breaks my heart. And until y'all do something and say something, this is going to keep going. But the next time it happens, they need to get called out too. I am a fair, equal opportunity person. You do not, as black media, show up to a game just to show off how you looking cute at some game and you not covering. I mean, not one. There wasn't one game clip. I think you were the only one that showed game clips. You were the only one. You were the only one. That was it. Nobody else. I didn't see any articles. I didn't see nothing.
There's one other brother. I shot him out. I'm going to be fair. I want to say his name is Mars. I want to say his name is Mars. No, he's affiliated with Hampton, so I am going to give him his credit. Mm-hmm. But what you mean to say, there's very few that was actually promoting it the way it needed to be promoted to get the social media engagement that we see for other events and other venues and other games.
And let me go here. There's one imprint, so-called black-owned media, that gets accepted to a NFL team. I ain't gonna say, but it's one of the New York teams. They wasn't there either. Mm-hmm. Don't know why you wasn't there. So I'm trying to understand. It's disappointing. Now the CAA did everything they could do. From what I know, they did everything they could do. But I'm not getting on the SWAC, and I'm not getting on to them. I don't know who was in charge of this, but it was bad promotion, and it broke my heart to see what I saw. Mm-hmm. And I'm disappointed with some of the media people because you were there for the wrong reasons. If you want to go out there and go be a party, man, you need to stay outside the arena, man. You don't even need to be in there. You just came in there to show off and act like you were doing something.
Mm. We cooking with fish grease.
Facts.
Listen, you want to end this off in NFL land?
Yeah, I think. Is there anything else we need to? Well, no. It don't matter, man. No, we can go in. We can a few more minutes. We right. Give me. You want? Why you don't agree with that?
It's on
okay.
you.
No, okay. No, you kind of moderate things. You good at that. So, we'll be back sooner than later. I want to also shout out Campbell. When we went out there to Monmouth, which we're going to be doing again by the time this podcast come out, we've already covered the game because they're playing Hampton tomorrow. But they played Campbell, who, shout out to them, it's their first year into the CAA conference. They came out and they're doing way better. They're doing way better than they were last season. I mean, they're surprising a lot of people because they're 3-2, and this is their first season in CAA. They came up another level. Mm-hmm. And from what I saw in the Monmouth game, they came out, they got physical, they got tough. Excuse me. They got physical, they got tough. They did what they had to do. They played chess, and then they out physicaled them in the second half. So shout out to Mike Mentor, who came out and played a great game. And even though they also beat Hampton, so they're coming along. Monmouth, shouts out to them too because they've always given us opportunities. I think they just made a wrong call and ended up costing them the game in the second half. Like instead of them running out the clock in the first half. They ended up trying to go for it.
Got the interception.
Gave Campbell time, and I don't think Campbell ever looked back after that. I mean, they literally was beating him up in the second half. And like how the first half ended, when they came out in the second half, it just looked like they never rebounded from it. But shout out to Mike Minner. I don't think he's getting a lot of credibility for the way in his first year how he's taking that program to the next level, especially in his first year. So shouts out to him. I mean, I know everybody's watching what Deion's doing, but shouts out to him. That's just all I wanted to say about that. That's our CAA coverage because we've been covering it for like 4 or 5 weeks now, and it's kind of a lot to go over. So I just
in one podcast.
Yeah. But I just wanted to bring that point up. So, yeah.
We did this last year. So before we get on NFL, I put you on the spot last year.
Oh, Lord.
and most of your picks was right.
Yeah.
So I give you credit. If you had to pick 2 teams, if you want to keep it at 2, cool. But if you wanted to keep it at 4, even better. Who do you think is going to be the last 2 or last 4 teams standing in the conference?
NCAA?
Yes.
William and Mary's definitely. They're on a whole nother level. I think they're, and the reason I'm going to tell you why. One, for them, I'm trying to keep it as short as possible. William and Mary's not looking to just play and just win the conference. They're looking to try to win the whole thing. Their mentality is we're coming to dominate and then go into that playoff and try to win a title. That's their mentality right now. I think to be honest, I think Rhode Island's coming too. Nobody sees it. I think they're still hungry, and you could kind of tell. They shouldn't even have lost in one game. They lost to Georgia State. They shouldn't even have lost that game.
Shout out to Kasim Hill for coming back.
Shouts out to Kasim Hill, definitely. They're on another level too. I think they'll be there in the end. I think William Mary will be in the end. Somebody I'm missing here. I want to say, is it Delaware or Elon? One of them is at the top. Which one is in
both of them at the top? No,
Who
Elon's at the top.
Elon has a better record. I think it's Elon. Whoever has the better record of them two, they'll be there, and I think UAlbany will be there.
So we got our top 4 teams for the CAA conference that we think are going to be standing at the end. Not now, but at the end. Elon, UAlbany, Rhode Island, and what was the last team?
Elon.
No, I already said it. Elon.
William and Mary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Elon, UAlbany, Rhode Island, and William and Mary.
Yeah. So I think they're gonna
be the last 4 at the finish line.
Yeah. I think Hampton's coming too. Nobody sees them. It depending on what I see from them tomorrow, I think they're coming. I don't think last year they started like 4-1 or 3-1, but then they went into conference play and I think
got tricky. Yeah,
it got goofy. I don't think that's the case this time.
All right.
I think they're coming, especially after what I saw them do with Grambling. You know what I'm saying?
Hell of a game.
Yeah. So I'm with you, man. I'm with you on that.
You want to travel to NFL land?
You can for a few minutes. You want to do what you want to start with? Where you want to start at?
We'll just keep it simple, and we'll do more the next podcast.
Yeah. We can do one thing. What do you think the biggest topic is?
Yeah.
You want to talk about the Steelers?
No. And I'm a Steelers fan.
Why not, man? Why you want to talk about the Steelers?
We could briefly. Let's keep this short.
Okay,
with the Steelers.
What's the hottest topic you think we should talk about in the NFL?
Well, no, I'm just saying in general. Like, there's multiple topics. There's like Russell Wilson being washed because we saw the coach. The coach was literally looking at him like this while he was walking the sideline. You serious? Like, that looked bad, dog.
But yes, last night, right?
That looked bad.
I know, I was watching that. That was bad.
Another topic they're talking about today before I came here was, as touted as the Ravens are with Lamar Jackson, they're now saying they need to go out and eventually look at potentially getting Saquon Barkley to add to the offense. If Saquon Barkley leaves New York and goes to the Ravens,
the Giants are in trouble.
Well, I'm not talking. Yeah, of course, but I'm talking about what would that do for the Ravens?
It would elevate their chances. I think they could protect Saquon better because the Giants line is not that great. So the Ravens line is that great, and I think it would take the toll off of them because they have Gus Edwards back there. I know J.K. Dobbins tore his ACL again, but they got Gus Edwards back there. So it's not like all the pressure will be on him. And mind you, they got Mark Andrews, Odell Beckham. So it's not like Saquon. If he's running, all eyes ain't Saquon. All eyes are on different elements. Plus, you got Lamar Jackson that can run.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nobody scared of Daniel. We all see what happened with Daniel Jones when Saquon Barkley's not in the game. It's bad. And now he's out for what, 3 or 4 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they gave him all that money.
Mm-hmm.
Lord, have mercy.
You want to briefly touch on the Steelers since you brought them up?
Nah,
Because you was telling me some interesting stuff about a hockey game.
Oh, so real quick, and we'll like you said, we'll talk about NFL next time. So the Penguins. I think the Penguins, they had a game the other night, and their chant was "Fire Canada." They were clapping, "Fire Canada, Fire Canada."
This is after they won.
Fire Canada. But it's not the fact that after you win, it was a hockey game. Why are we chanting about an offensive coordinator at a hockey game?
That's how bad Pittsburgh wants him out.
Tomlin, you need to let him go. He's got to go. Stop being loyal to this dude. He has to go. He's got to go. Can I say something?
Go ahead. Go in.
I had these notes. I got notes all over the place when I was telling you. And all right. Since Matt Canada, and this I gotta give Stephen A. Smith this point because he's talked about this. Since Matt Canada has been the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers are the only team that has not had a 400-yard plus passing game.
That's horrendous.
Every other NFL team has at least had a 400-yard passing game.
Multiple.
Pittsburgh is the only one. Not to mention they're 30th in offense and 30th in defense, but the 30th in offense. And then that game, what was the game before this? They got
Mollywop.
Yeah, and I forgot who they were playing. And not the Baltimore game. They never crossed the 50-yard line that game.
It was sickening to watch.
And Canada's comments was the offense, this team is not built to come back from a big lead. So it's critical how we start a game.
Well, how are you starting offensively if you're not crossing the 50-yard line, Dodo?
Forget that. Would you ever want to hear your
not
offensive
from an offensive coordinator?
If you were the head coach, would you really want to hear that?
You would be fired mid-season. It's
critical how we start a game because we're not built to come back. You're admitting that? Really? You First of all,
what was the chance from the Penguins again?
Fire Canada. Fire Canada. They were doing it for like minutes, dog. That's how embarrassing it was. But the point I'm making is you openly admitted that. What is wrong with you? I can't understand. And they said Tomlin's being loyal. How can you be loyal to a guy that would tell you that? I'm telling you, there's no way Rooney and them is sitting in the office and looking at it. I know they're telling Tomlin. I can feel it in my bones. They are telling Tomlin, this better work
or your ass is on the line too.
Yep,
I was just about to comment.
Yeah.
Either you better figure this out because if you have another 8-8 season or 7-7 or 7-8,
yeah,
they're going to be looking at you next because I already hear the rumblings in all the sports pages.
Yeah. Yeah.
It ain't just fire Kennedy. They're going to start saying fire Mike Tomlin next, and then what you're going to do?
Yeah. And then let me also say this: it's not only the fact that you have black coaches that are having a hard time getting a job, right? We understand that you want to be loyal to Canada, but if I'm a GM and say Tomlin, let's just say hypothetically, which I don't want to speak into existence, but let's just say by certain circumstances he's no longer at Pittsburgh, right? As much as he's been having a winning culture,
where are you going to get a job at?
Why do I want to bring you in here if you're going to bring a guy like that with you? I don't want that in here. Because I know even as bad as it is, you're going to have to let him go. And if you don't want to let him go, I mean, there's no way Pittsburgh is telling him to keep this guy. He's going to, okay, let me make this one point because we're on limited time. Belichick is basically broke Matt Jones. Okay, and we'll talk about that in the next podcast. I'm not going to get into that right now. You're going to do that with this kid, with Kenny Pickett, if you don't bring in a guy that can develop this kid. You're going to break this kid because at some point, the boos are going to start happening. We're going to say, no, we don't want, like, yo, Canada's gone. What are you going to do now, Pickett? And now it's a restart process. It's what you tell me from times and situations we've been with Envy, and we ain't going to talk about that, but there's times where you say, yo, hey, we need to cut the cord now. because it's going to break what we're building.
And you don't want to start over 2 years later. You want to start over now.
And you've always told me that. So it's kind of like the same equivalent. At what point are you going to cut the cord with this guy? This guy is going to break this kid. I'm telling you, he's going to break him. You see what's happening with Matt Jones up in New England? And it's no disrespect to Bill O'Brien, but he's trying to fix something that was a year. You pushed this kid a year back. So this is going to take a whole nother year to fix. You think Robert Kraft and them up there trying to hear that? Anybody trying to hear that, man? You better figure it out. So it's the same thing with Tomlin. We know what you've done. Last year you finished 9-8. You still have yet to have a losing season with us. That's great. But we can't have our franchise quarterback being broken. We can't. We just can't. And me and you both know we have seen around this league when you don't have a quarterback, or either you do and you break them or you mess them up. Look at what's Chicago. Look at what's going on in Denver. Look what's going on in the league. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not working. There's something wrong. And if you're not going to fix it, it's just going to look at what's going on in New York, the Giants. Look what's going on with Zach Wilson. Why they haven't got Aaron Rodgers. You see where I'm going with this?
Mm-hmm.
Tomlin can't keep saying, I want to be loyal to Canada, and you're going to break this kid. Then what? Come on, man. The Bears been trying to find a quarterback for years. Atlanta, we still trying to find one since Matt Ryan.
Yeah, I got Bijan Robinson, though.
Yeah, but we don't know if Desmond Ritter's the guy. We went from Matt Ryan to Marcus Mariota, and now that's 3 quarterbacks. So at some point, you got to figure it out. You're going to have to – I know you want to be loyal, but being loyal is going to get you behind put up out of there. I'm telling you. So that's just what I really want to say. That's really only one hot topic I want to say.
Gotcha.
We'll talk about everything else. We got a whole lot more to talk about.
Gotcha. So shout out to the people that's going to tune in on this on the playback, whether it's one person or whether it's 100 or 1,000 people. We appreciate all our supporters. We're going to be more consistent coming forward with more of these contents on podcasts. Go ahead.
Because I just want to say the reason why it was not because we're not inconsistent, is because we, unlike other people, are not taking pictures on social media looking like we cool. We actually are out there doing the groundwork. We ain't doing what they doing. Like we don't just run a podcast and just sit on the couch and just talk crazy. We're actually out there. We're not just actually sitting in a game and just taking snapshots and taking pictures and looking cute and saying this is me, and then not writing an article or not putting any content up. That's we kind of do it all. So yeah, it's not inconsistency. It's just us building the platform the way we need to build it.
No doubt.
I just want to reword it that way. I'm sorry.
No doubt. I definitely agree with you. Good way to reword it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna end off like this. Appreciate all the supporters, but before we close this, want to get some RIP shout outs. Mm-hmm. So in our culture, we had a few people pass away. Mm-hmm. First, Rudolph Isley. He's a member of the Isley Brothers, and I think it's important because we have a hip-hop platform to acknowledge the people that came before us in previous generations. Mm-hmm. The Isley Brothers, what they did for music and what they still continue to do because they're still performing. There's no amount of words that I can give right now. So condolences to the Isley Brothers and their entire family on the loss of Rudolph Isley, who lived a great life. Second, Hughes Van Ellis. Rest in peace. I posted on my social media. It's pretty much a quote from a Bible verse where I said, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant." For people who don't know, he's one of the last remaining members of the Tulsa race riots. Again, this is a part of our culture and our history as Black people. There's 3 people that's still alive. Well, were 3 people that's still alive. They're in their hundreds. Living in Tulsa, Oklahoma, fighting for reparative justice for what happened during 1918 for the famous Tulsa riots. They were kids at that time, 5, 7, 8, and there's 3 people that were alive. He just passed away. So rest in peace to Hughes Van Ellis, one of the remaining members of the Tulsa race riot. On a personal note, I had somebody, from my not childhood, but somebody that I pretty much been in the family for about 20 years. Somebody that I work with, somebody I called a friend, somebody I've been to their house, they fed me, somebody that my community called the OG. And one thing about that word OG, you just don't put it on old people. You got to give game, and this person gave game to us as younger cats, men and women. So rest in peace to a dear comrade, Mamie Pyatt, who passed away. That one hit me a little different. She's not a celebrity, but she was a celebrity to us. Somebody from the New York City area came up here, did her thing up in Albany. Very cool person, man. So rest in peace to Mamie Pyatt and condolences to her family. You got anything you want to add?
No, I'm good. Just, we gonna I mean, you shouted them out with people. I think they just, I guess the blessing is, not guess, but the blessing is every day that you walk back in through that door is a blessing. Remember that. When you wake up and then when you leave and you come back home, you're not always guaranteed to make it home every day. And you're not always guaranteed to wake up. Remember that.
That's a fact. So cherish your time. Rest in peace to those people. And again, definitely rest in peace, OG. I see you when I get there. Cut up.
Facts.
This is the NBA Online Podcast. We appreciate all our supporters, whether it's one person or 1,000 people. I'm your host, Son of a Jones.
CEO of Envy.
We'll catch you on the playback.
1.